Self-sabotage never ever happens when things are going badly, funnily enough, eh? Nobody's out there sabotaging a job that they actually already hate. You sabotage the one that's working well. You pick a fight with the people that are treating you well, that are treating you good. You stop showing up right when the goal is in touching reach. You've got a fear of failure, so you don't really try. And by not trying, means that you can't fail. But what if you did try? What if you did put the effort in? What would happen then? Think about the last time that something was going really well for you, a job, a relationship, a goal that was finally moving forward, right? Think about it. And somewhere right in the middle of it, you pulled back. Not because it stopped being good, but just because fear got in the way, and it comes sometimes like a big Trojan horse. All because some part of you just couldn't handle that it was going so good and what that meant, or what that could potentially mean. Now, this isn't a character flaw, by the way, right? This is something inside you that has been wired and for so long now, for many, many years. And it's working exactly how it was designed to work, to protect you. But what it doesn't realise is that it's protecting you from the wrong thing. Now let me show you what sabotage is actually protecting you from. So I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and people have been coming to me recently for the hypnotic weight loss jab. People have sat across from me in the room and done really well and went through the sessions, but a few people have sat in front of me, and after the first or second session, and in this case I'll tell you about this lady in a moment, and she'd came in and she had done the first session of the weight loss hypnosis, came back in and said to me, I know what I should be doing, but something inside me is telling me otherwise. It's me, it's not you. And I was going, oh, that's really interesting. And we got chatting about what was going on for her. And we discovered that actually what was happening was that she was sabotaging herself. And she says that she experienced this a few times with her weight loss journey over the years, because as long as she could remember, she had been on some sort of diet. Now, years ago, she had lost quite a bit of weight. I think she'd lost about 5 stone in weight. And what had happened was she had got very sick and had to take steroids, and weight went back on, and she had ended up back to the size that she was before she lost weight. So when we were sitting in session 1, we had gone through the session, she had left, she'd went home, and she had said that yes, of course, the food noise in her was turned right down. She didn't have a desire to eat out with meal times, but there was this wee saboteur that was coming along, and it was kind of in the driving seat, all right? And it was as if it was an impulse within her to have snacks, to have things, to just, in her words were, be bad. But, you know, we don't really speak that kind of language here. So in a nutshell, we realised that she was sabotaging herself, and I had decided that we could do a session here hypnotically on self-sabotage. And it was really interesting because we were able to go in, let the hypnotherapy do the heavy lifting, so she didn't have to go through all those backdated files in that big filing cabinet of hers of trauma. She went to exactly where it was in her own subconscious mind that was making her sabotage this journey. And it was fascinating because when we had done that session, in the week after, she'd said, oh my goodness, and she says, I think you're a witch. Which, I don't mind, that's fine. If it got results, great. Interestingly enough, she was able to carry on and go through it, and she had said to me that normally in a week she would go into a shop and she would pick up a cherry loaf, and that cherry loaf would be divided into the 7 days until the next time that she was back to get one. And she noticed straight away that actually she walked by the cherry loaf and she didn't go and get it. She didn't want it anymore, because we had managed to deal with the self-sabotaging part. We'd managed to deal with the part in her brain and her subconscious mind that was this almost as if it was a kind of chain reaction to going into that shop, getting her shopping, but included in that was every week the cherry loaf. She didn't pick it up, didn't put it in her basket, but also didn't have treats either. And another interesting thing for her that she noticed as well, she loves cake, she'd said, and it was coming up to her birthday, and her daughter had said to her, I'm going to get you a birthday cake, we'll have cake together. And she'd said, look, I don't actually want cake. And this is what it was. This was the big part for her. This was the big realisation. Who knocks back birthday cake? Especially not my client that I'm talking about here. And it was almost as if we had managed to just sort of say to the sabotage that was living inside of her, enough now. You don't have to be present anymore. It's okay. For my client, she was so worried that she was going to disappoint herself, that meant that she would have to, in the moment, eat what she wanted to eat so that she wouldn't have to later on face the disappointment of putting weight back on again. But what if we deal with sabotage when it comes along and we say, "Hi, I see you"? What if sabotage is speaking a different language from us entirely? Sabotage might be saying, "You'll mess up, you'll put the weight back on again, you'll only be disappointed." But instead of listening to that sabotage, you can turn around and say, "It's okay, I'm safe, I really want to give this a try." I checked in with my client maybe 2 weeks after we'd finished our final 4th session together, and she'd said, "Oh my goodness, I've lost 10 pounds. That same client was struggling with self-sabotage for probably about a year, I think she'd said. And she was putting on a pound, taking a pound off, putting half on, taking half off. And she was juggling with the same pound, pound and a half for over a year. But when we took that session to hypnosis, the saboteur could no longer sit in the seat that it was sitting in. It was really managed well, with compassion, with kindness. But it allowed for her nervous system to say, "I'm okay and I'm going to be safe." So you'll be able to see here that what's happened in this instance is that my client was trying to lose weight, but internally the saboteur was saying to her, "Don't be disappointed," when in actual fact she didn't quite understand why it was that she was never able to continue to keep losing the weight. And here's the psychology behind sabotage. Something in you has a job to do, and it did that job. It just had the wrong threat in sight. I call this the bodyguard. And I'm not talking about your Kevin Costner bodyguard. And if you're too young for that, then, lucky you for still having collagen. Its whole purpose is to stop you from getting hurt. But what it can't do is it can't tell the difference between this might genuinely harm you and this is good, but good is unfamiliar and scary. And it also feels really dangerous. And it might make you vulnerable. Oh no. So the moment that things start going well, the moment that you're exposed, but you're also invested, the bodyguard is reading this as risk. And it is the only thing that it knows how to do. And that is get you out of there. And the bodyguard, it's not waiting for danger. The bodyguard preempts it. But it can't tell the difference between this might hurt you or this might disappoint you. So it logs both of these threats as the very same thing. So why does it default to that? Because the disappointment that comes after hope is so much heavier than the disappointment that you already saw coming. And if you only half try and it only barely registers, you always kind of knew, didn't you, that it wasn't going to work out. But if you do go all in and it falls flat in its face, you're the one who gets hurt. You store that in the filing cabinet. And you remember. And it leaves a mark. And the bodyguard has already worked out the cost of this, and it's far too expensive. And it's already decided that the second one is far too high a cost for you to risk. So what it will do is it will trade you a smaller, familiar pain instead of the much bigger and uncertain pain that might happen later on. Because the familiar pain just feels so much safer than the unfamiliar, doesn't it? Even though that unfamiliar one might be the thing that brings you joy. It might be the thing that actually, if you did just keep going, if you just kept on going for a little while longer, you were already near the end anyway. It might have just been the one thing that you go, yes, done it. And your nervous system isn't actually asking, will this make me happy? What it's asking is, do I know how this ends? Will I be disappointed? Will I be hurt? And a known bad feeling will always feel so much safer than an uncertain one. Am I right? But then you miss out on so much, don't you? Because you're kind of selling yourself short. It's almost as if you're quietly closing the doors on your own life just to avoid something that feels unfamiliar, that might not even come. So when you catch yourself pulling back from things that feel good, that's not the proof that you don't deserve it. That's no evidence that you might actually ruin it. That's that Bodyguard, that's that Kevin Costner. He's facing the wrong way. He's aiming at the wrong target. So tell me then, do you know how it is that you actually stop this self-sabotaging nonsense? Step 1. You don't fight the Bodyguard. It's not there for a fight. You can't actually switch it off either because it's not going anywhere. It's your threat detecting system. And it thinks it's helping you. But what I want to do is I want to encourage you to ask it a question, a very powerful question if you ask me. And the moment you spot it showing up, I want you to ask this very question to it. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. What are you actually protecting me from right now? What is it that you think is a threat to me? Listen to what answers appear in your mind. Listen to what shows up for you. Say this the next time that you notice something going really well, alright? The next time you notice that you want to pick a fight with someone that you love, to stop trying, to find the exit, to pull back, not to talk yourself out of feeling. Just ask it. What is it that you're defending? And 9 times out of 10, and I guarantee it, 9 times out of 10, what you'll find the answer is fear of danger, fear of failing, fear of disappointment. These are all the things that will come up when you ask that question. What are you actually protecting me from? And disappointment's always survivable. Okay, you might be a wee bit down in the dumps because you were disappointed by something in the past. But here's the thing, it's not the same as danger. No one ever died of disappointment, did they? I don't think so. The second part is smaller. Build in a pause. Self-sabotage moves fast. You'll not see it coming. The urge to leave, the urge to fight, the urge to pull back. It usually wants you to act immediately. You don't need to override it here. You just need to not act on it within the next hour. Give that good thing another hour before you decide it's not safe. You were never broken for self-sabotaging. Most of the time, that Bodyguard in there was just trying to protect something in you. But you know, and I know, and if you're honest, something inside you knows too, because it knows you. It was always trying to protect you from the wrong thing. But you've got this. Be gentle with yourself. You are a work in progress.